What's up, farmers? This is David from Green Arrow Tech here, coming to you from our headquarters near Sperling, Manitoba. Today we're going to be doing an unboxing on the brand new DJI Agras T50. Let's get into it. All right, so we got the box T50 here. We're going to go ahead and take this apart and see what it looks like inside. All right, so right off the hop here, I do say one thing that is different than the T40, and that is our cooling box here for charging. So now, for one thing, it comes in the bottom of the box, doesn't come in pieces in the top, it's fully assembled, which is great. Not sure if anybody else out there, but I sometimes had problems getting that thing out of the top and having pieces fly over when we unpacked a box. So this is all one piece here for the cooling unit. We've got the slot here for the charger, and it looks like we actually have a lock here now for the cable too, so that's a nice little touch. Would be real nice if we had something on the far side here too, but we'll take a look and see if that's something that comes in the future. Looks like one other nice thing here is we've got a little foot pedal, or a place to put our foot on here, so when we're taking a battery out, we've got that stepping on there so nothing's coming up with it, so improvement I like. And the other thing we're going to find in the box here is our controller. We'll unpack that a little bit later. Okay, so we've got the T50 unboxed here, and so what I'm going to do for this unboxing here is I'm going to kind of go over all the features that I see, kind of do it in real time with everybody here, put on things I like, put on things I'm not so sure about. First thing that stands out to me right away is the props here. So we are going to now, DJI has switched this featuring a white prop, which is apparently supposed to be a little bit better here for, I guess, for handling heat. I do notice, looking at this, it looks like it's spray painted. My original expectation was it was actually going to be white material. So, guess I'll be honest, I'm not super crazy about that off the hop, but we'll see how it holds up. I'm a little bit worried we're going to see that paint maybe chipping if we hit some debris and bugs and stuff like that. But let's keep an eye on that as we use it here this year. Now, one thing I noticed while I was doing the unboxing, which is nice here, is they did a nice job of actually, like when they're doing the bubble wrap here, is they put it right in between the props. So that's a nice touch, making sure that we don't have anything damaged or scratched when it comes in. Another thing I noticed right away here too is we have a different holder here for holding the props in place when you're transporting it. So it sits on the top there, and then you got a bungee cord that's going to hook down in here. So before on the T40, this cord was just a bungee cord with a couple of snaps on it. So this doesn't, to me, it feels like it's not giving a lot of tension here. I guess I'm assuming that they did this for, so we're not pulling down on these props here. So I can definitely see the design choice behind it. Just my personal preference. I do like what we had there before, but let's keep going through this thing here and see what else we find. Hey guys, as I was packing up the T50, I just noticed something here on I'm actually like this strap here a lot more than I originally thought. So you can see it's keeping the tension off the top here, and I was running it on the bottom in the wrong place. It actually goes underneath the landing gear here. So it comes up, it's got a nice amount of tension, holds everything in place without putting any tension on the props there. So changing my mind, I think that's a nice addition. All right, so a couple things I'm noticing here too, just on the arms here. So one thing they've done here is they have put, looks like a stronger protection on the cables and the hose running through on the joint here. That's a really nice touch. I know this was on the later models of the T40s. On the early model T40s, we didn't have anything here, but we have a sleeve to protect from wear when we clip this thing in when it's in transport mode. And one really nice thing here is when we fold out this prop here. So on the cam locks, we have a new feature here. We have a lock here. So we're going to pull it on there, not going to move. You actually have to unclip that if you want to unlock this thing and put it in position. So some nice features on there. All right, next up here, I'm going to just get everything unfolded on here. So all of our arms into place, get everything locked up. Fancy new channel locks over here. All right. Okay, so a couple of things we're going to notice right away. Honestly, what I think is the biggest upgrade with the T50 over the T40 from everything I'm seeing, even physically here, is on the obstacle avoidance. So right here, we've got the radar, and it is noticeably bigger than the phased array they had on the T40. So yeah, it looks to be, I bet you 50% bigger, somewhere in that range. We also have here, so we've got two sets of binocular vision. Now the T40 just had one. So this is for doing obstacle avoidance, both of these things working together. So we've got two looking up here, and then down here with the camera mount, which is different. We also have the two binocular visions down in here, and then we have our FPD camera there for taking video, giving us real-time information on how we're flying. Another difference I see on here too is we've got the radar receivers here, so the antenna. So on the T40, those had been on the front props here. Actually, they had been on the bottom side, but with the T50 now, you're able to actually have 4 sprayers. We have the 2 on the back, and then optional, you could put 2 on the front as well. So depending on what kind of farming you're doing, it's going to be, it might not be something that's going to be a value, or it could be very valuable. So for most guys, if you're doing broadacre farming, corn, wheat, lentils, anything like that, I don't know if we're going to see a lot of value out of that. But if you're into something like orchards, doing fruit vineyards, something like that, I could see where that extra flow could be very helpful. I know that they've done some upgrades on the pump system here as well. So let's maybe dig into that next. All right, so we've got the T50 turned around here. And before I go into the spraying system here, one thing to make a note of is the radar is now down here. So it's an upgraded radar. Again, I think we have a phased array radar on the back. Before, we just had a little unit that sat on the back under here. So this looks to be a lot higher quality. It's going to give us probably a lot better terrain following, which is one of the things they promised with the T50. One thing I do notice here, though, is to be careful is when you guys are going to pick up your drone, like I can definitely see if you're picking up from the back with 2 people, you know, this could be something that could get kicked. So just be aware of that. It's something I'm sure we don't want to kick around too much and rattle it. A couple other small observations here is the cover here for over the electronics unit in the back. Before, this had been a snap-on unit with the T40, T50. It looks like now we actually have screws holding those on. So I think that's good news. It gives it a little more security. It's probably going to be a little easier when you take those screws out to actually take it off, as opposed to potentially breaking something on there when you're trying to snap into a snap if you're in the wrong spot. All right, now let's take a look under the hood here and have a look at the spraying system. So one notable difference right away here is we don't have a cover on any of this here. So on the T40, there was a plastic piece that kind of enclosed all this. So they've done away with that. I know that we do have upgraded pumps here, so we're able to get better flow rate. And one thing of interest here too is, if we look up here, we actually have notches. They got a new design on the tank. We've got some notches here for the wires to hold those in place. So that's looking nice and clean. And it looks like actually our wiring, when we want to take off this tank here, looks like right here is where we would disconnect that. I bet you there's a front here. Let's take a look at it from the other side there. All right, so this is a pretty nice feature here. So before we had this kind of hanging out just kind of out in space, but they've got this now with a cover on it here to protect the your connector here. So when you want to swap out for you want to swap out this tank and put in your spreader tank, this is covered up now. It's actually really easy for me to disconnect. I know the other one I had a lot of trouble with sometimes. So that's a nice feature on there. And then of course we've got our disconnect here for the hoses coming into the sprayers right there. So we want to take this tank out, just disconnect this, disconnect the hoses on either side, and away we go. So I want to take a quick look at the sprinkler system here now too. They have redesigned this. So we've got a different casing, a different housing on the sprinkler itself here. And I think that's because we have the new solenoid valve right here, which is what they say it's going to do. Is going to eliminate all of the dripping. So whether you're turning off the sprayers in mid-flight, you're not going to be dripping across the field, or if you have it in storage and transport, that's going to be a really nice feature there. Okay, just going to wrap up here with a couple of extra small observations on the T50 itself. So I'm going to go and install the battery here. And one thing I noticed here is on the T40, we had the molding was kind of very formed to the battery itself. This one got a little more space in there. So not 100% sure why that would be, but just making some note of it here. Also note that the ESCs do look a little bit different in the shape on how they're fitting a little more formed on there. So just a new housing. But one small thing here, and this is kind of touch I really like, is On the landing gear here, we have these little pads that are sitting on the bottom of the landing gear. So they seem to be rubber on the bottom, so it's giving us a little bit of a grip if we're landing on like a steel surface on the back of a trailer, something like that, and just probably some extra wear protection there. So just a nice mindful upgrade there. All right, now that we've had a chance to see everything on the T50, let's unpack some of the accessories and have a look. We're going to start with the spreader, take a look at the remote controller, and anything else we can think of. Okay, so right off the hop, this is what we're looking at when we open up the box. So we have a couple of, looks like a couple of nuts here to attach on some pieces. This is a different size spreader gate. So if you're working with some smaller materials, you want to use that one. We'll see if we can take a look at the big one. It has more of a bigger shape in there to let different size through. And this also is something new on the T50, is before on the T40, you've just had straight guides here. So this curved shape is supposed to give you a little bit more even spread. So that's what we're looking at the very top of the box on the spreader. Okay, I'm going to be honest. That thing is not the easiest to get out of the box. The bottom foam there kind of make like a little seal. So took a little bit of shaking to get it out, but that's a look at the new spreader here. So it definitely looks like it sits a little bit taller than the spreader did in the T40. We can see here, there's our new connection that goes into the wiring there for the drone itself. But a couple of things on here. Got a nice, not a whole lot to say, I guess, about the spreader, but you know, nice big space here for filling it up to 50 kilogram load. You can see that on there, max load 50 kgs. And then we do have some measurements here, so up to 70 liters there for volume on the top. So yeah, quick look at the spreading system. All right, so just gonna do a little quick side-by-side comparison on the cooling units here. This is the old one that we had for the T40, and this is the new one here for the T50. So it actually looks like it sits a little bit smaller overall in the height. One thing that I definitely, personally, I had some problems with my T40 on this one was, you know, I noticed that this would start to come apart a little bit. So I like that they've gone to the design just with the single piece on there. And then we can actually see on here too when we, just a small notice here. So we've got, when we plug this thing in here, so on the T40 it's out like that. Like I said, we've got a small upgrade here now. We've got this latch here. So it can give us a little, should give us a little extra security when this thing is locked in there. So a nice little tidbit on there. But yeah, let's throw a battery in here and see what we feel for difference. So like I said, one thing with this one, sometimes you could get some movement on that when you were plugging it in. Let's throw this in here, see if I got the, oh, I don't quite have this sitting right. There we go. Let's shift the other battery to this one there. So that'd be you getting locked in there for charging. And like I say, you got this footstep here, so I'll take it out. Makes it a little bit easier. So, you know, not a huge change, but a couple of nice touches on there that I like. Okay, next up, we're going to open up the controller box here and have a look at what's inside. Now, this is very similar, if not the same, as what you would have seen in the T40, if you're familiar with that drone. So we've got a bag here with some cables, some parts. So we have a different plate here for the, see if I can show you a little bit, for the sprinklers. So if you're working with with something like a little more viscous on the liquid side, you can, that's what these are designed for, is to handle that. So you just change those plates out. We have the harness here just to help you for carrying the weight. If you're carrying this controller for a long time, you know, it puts the weight on your shoulders, which is really nice. You know, honestly, it's a pet peeve of mine is I wish this thing was just a little bit narrower. So it's at flat in that case, but it kind of always sits at an angle, takes up a little more space than it has to. I mean, no big deal, just how I am. And then our remote control here, which is, I believe, the exact same model as you have on the T40. And honestly, I'm not sure if there's much you need to change on there. You have great brightness on that thing. You can see it in the middle of the day. Lots of functionality on it. It's a great remote. I've got no complaints at all about that. I think it's one of the best things that DJI has on their drone. So yeah, that's what we're looking at inside the case. Now, the last thing we're going to take a look at here for our unboxing is going to be the extra sprinklers. So we talked about you have the option of going with four sprinkler systems on this drone. So we're going to open up this box here and take a look to see what those look like inside. Now, these sprinklers are a self-install item, so we'll probably be doing a video on that very soon. So that's what you're looking at inside the box here. Is you've got the actual physical sprinkler system there, and it looks like all of your wiring and the hose that you need to hook everything up and make it work there. So now that's going to be interesting. We'll do like I said, we'll do an install of our own and have a look at how that's done, and we'll try and get a video up for everybody to show you how to do that. Hopefully it's nice and easy. Hey farmers, thanks for coming along on the unboxing of the DJI T50 here. It's been great to actually get our hands on one of these and have a look at it in person. I think the biggest thing for me is the upgrades on the obstacle avoidance with the upgraded radar, rear radar, and then the double binocular vision. It's always nice to have those extra safety features, and I'm betting it's going to make things a little bit smoother for our in-field work as well. We're really looking forward to getting our time out on the field with these things, get some flight hours in. We'll take you along on that journey as we try it out. And overall, I think, it's some really nice, thoughtful updates on the T50. That being said, if you bought a T40 in the last year or two, I don't think there's any reason to be kicking yourself. It's some very nice updates, but it's not a revolutionary upgrade by any means. So I think overall, really good drone, some nice upgrades to it. Really looking forward to getting out in the field and putting it to use. We'll keep you guys informed on that, and we'll talk to you soon.